the opposite of like negativity isn't positivity. I think it's connection. It's kindness. It's showing me and reminding me of the goodness in humanity. And when you see a cancer patient being negative, it's because they have separated from love, connection. They're hurting so bad at that moment. They need kindness. They don't need a lecture.
Welcome back to another episode of 80/20. I'm Georgia.
I'm Shanina Shaikh.
And we are at the beautiful Spring Place in Beverly Hills. And today we have a very dear friend of ours on the podcast. Her name is Ali Spuck. And Ali is living with cancer. How we discovered you, Ali, is actually it was at a beautiful event that Shanina and I went to on, coincidentally, the first day we ever filmed an 80/20 episode. And it was hosted by the most gorgeous foundation, the Foundation for Living Beauty, which we also collaborated with them at our launch event. And that was where we first came across you because you gave the most incredible speech of all time that brought the house down. You did the same thing at our event. And you've just, every time you speak, the room just stops. And everybody goes silent and everybody is just fixated on you because every word that comes out of your mouth is just so profound.
No pressure.
And no, but there is no pressure because that's just who you are. You know what I mean? So after we heard you speak the last time, Shanina and I just said to each other, we have to do a podcast episode because you just have so much wisdom and advice to offer and you're just such a force of nature and we just love you. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be here.
We're thrilled to have you. And not only are you living with cancer, that's just one part of your identity. You're also a very successful screenwriter and producer in Hollywood.
We've been very lucky. So,
and Shanina was just very excited to find out that you have been involved in quite a few Christmas movies, which is her favorite topic ever.
Yes.
People love them. I think that in today's world, we still love this idea that we can reach to a touchstone that'll take us on a journey, but we kind of know where we're going in the end because there's so much unpredictability. And those movies have this wonderful warmth that we can all kind of relate to, and we know that we're going to end up kind of where we want in the end of that because life is, not the same.
It's wholesome. It's magical. Yes. I have, why I was so excited because I have a Christmas movie up my sleeve and I've been holding it for years and I was like, oh, maybe this is it. I got to pitch it to you.
There we go.
Auditioning in front of you right now.
I'm here. Let's do it.
Oh, wow. Have you always done screenwriting?
No. I was an actor for a long time and I moved with my then husband to Las Vegas and I had my own show, like a one-woman show that ran in Vegas for like a year and a half.
Like a live show? Oh, wow.
Yeah, like a cabaret type show.
I can totally see that.
Yeah. And had a great time doing it. And then I started having babies and my focus shifted a bit and we moved back to Los Angeles. And I don't know, I lost my way a bit. I think that I was always really good at musical theater and stage acting. And that was something that really filled my cup. I miss it a lot, but and the singing and all of that. And I never really was able to make the transition to film and TV acting. It's just a different medium. Yeah. And so I floundered a bit. I did a lot of work here in LA. The last show I ever did was at it's now the Gary Marshall Theater in Toluca Lake, but then it was called The Falcon. And Gary Marshall directed it. It was like a four-hander, me and three guys about Billy Wilder and Raymond Chandler writing the first, what's the word I want? Film noir movie.
Yeah.
And it was this wonderful comedy drama play, and I loved it. And that was kind of, I don't know, I could feel that chapter sort of coming to a close. And it felt like such a wonderful way to go out, like working with Gary and this amazing cast. So it was at that point that I didn't really like walk away exactly. I just decided to sort of change my focus. And around the same time, my best friend and I had an opportunity to pitch. We had a connection at Mar Vista, which is a studio that does Christmas movies and lots of other, they do lots of things. That's boiling them down to a very, very small thing. But they do lots of those sort of films for, well, and at the time it was really like lots of like Lifetime thrillers and Christmas movies and seasonal rom-coms and things like that.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, well, Casey and I could write this, write one of those Christmas movies. And our friend was like, yeah, I'm sure that you could, but like, we can't just like let you write a Christmas movie. But if the opportunity comes for you to pitch, then sure, you can pitch. I'll like bring it in, whatever. Yeah. So I was like, great. So at one point they came and they were like, okay, so we need a movie called, we were in a sales meeting and they wanted a movie called Married by Christmas. So we need log lines and, 1 pages for Married by Christmas. So Casey and I went off and, took a week or whatever and wrote out some ideas that could be a script called Married by Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And he took them back into the next sales meeting and was like, okay. And one of them, they were like, oh, that's great.
Wow.
And they were, we like that one. And he was like, well, so this is my friend and, her writing, her best friend, and they've never written a Christmas movie before. And they were like, okay, we're not buying that. But if they want to write it on spec, then we'll read it.
Yeah.
So we went off and screenplays use a computer program called Final Draft.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
But we didn't have that. So we wrote it in Word.
Wow.
Oh.
And we just made a PDF of it and sent it back in.
That's a lot of work.
Love it.
And it went to the first person. They were like, oh, this is good. And then it just started going up the chain. And everybody had to sign off on it because it was like total, not nepotism, but like we'd never done it.
Yeah.
So it gets all the way up to the president of the company. And he was like, this is good.
Yeah, why not?
So we sold the first movie we ever wrote.
Wow.
And it kind of kept going from there. Once we sort of became that proven entity, they came back to us for more. Other people saw our work and came to us, and we've been writing together ever since. And that was 2014, I think, 2015.
Wow.
What a cool story. I feel like we talk
nice.
about this on the podcast quite a bit of, things in your life not going as planned, like your career's not going well or whatever. And that, rock bottom, for want of another expression, forces you to pivot and often pivots you onto a much better path. So
completely.
How cool is that?
And it turned out to be incredibly fortuitous because when I got sick, suddenly I had this career that I could kind of do
At home.
And I could, I had this partner that was keenly aware of what I was going through, and we could kind of support ourselves, support each other through that. I remember early on one day, this is sort of a non sequitur, but like in the beginning, I felt like my writing partner Casey and I, we had this, she's so brilliant. She's this amazing, talented writer. But she can get very stuck in her head.
Okay.
And I was like, gosh, I really want her to have to be able to, rely on herself a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I had been thinking that, in years prior. But so I get diagnosed and I'm sitting there one day and when you're on chemo, they send, or at least my doctor applied for a disabled parking placard for me, which I didn't know.
Okay.
And so I get this disabled parking placard in the mail. I promise I'm going somewhere with this. And I look at it and parking for me is I even texted you about it today. I was like, I can't figure out the parking.
Yeah. No one can figure out the parking a little bit.
I just it's like a stress point for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's always parking. I don't know why it's a thing. I have to walk an extra block sometimes. Who cares? I don't know why, but it's always a thing for me. So I'm looking at this parking placard and I was like, I just manifested rock star parking for myself.
That's awesome.
And I was like, what else did I just get?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I had been saying that I wanted to lose some weight and not really have to work on it. I did that,
Yeah.
you know, and like I had been, which was a very superficial thing, but like, you know, because I was, you know, like you get sick and you get, and like, you know.
I was sick the other day and I've
Yeah.
lost a lot.
See? That's
Very
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like that happened. I was like, I need to focus more on my kids and get off social media so much. I need my priorities realigned. That was happening. And Casey had to naturally step up into kind of, you know, more of her confidence level or whatever, so that because there was times that I was just in a chair and couldn't be there for her in the same way that I had been. So it was like I was just looking at all of these things that had happened that I had been wanting that were sort of a result of, like, not a direct result, but kind of like this other result of me getting sick, which is totally weird.
This is why you are so remarkable, because I mean, you've just been diagnosed with cancer, and all you can see is, well, you know, this thing has happened to me, but look at all these great things that have come out of it. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, you know, this was also in the very beginning, and I'm like, cancer feels so intensely personal. It still does. Like, it feels like somebody like
Just picked you out of the crowd.
picked you out of the crowd and was like, you
Yeah.
get this is yours. And it's incredibly lonely. It's incredibly isolating. And I think it's very easy. And I've certainly gone, I mean, it'll be 6 years for me with stage 4 cancer in March.
Wow.
I mean, can I cuss on this show?
Yes.
Can I cuss?
Say whatever you want.
Fan-fucking-tastic. It's a mind fuck. Like, it's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me. And of course, but like, you know, it's just completely bizarre. And it continues to be bizarre. Every time I go into the doctor's office and they tell me anything that's like it's back or it's growing or, you know, this isn't, you know, I can't do this particular kind of treatment or whatever, I'm always like completely dumbfounded. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm not a sick person. Like, what do you mean it's getting worse? What do you mean like it hasn't gone away? I'm like, I should be done by now. And I'm not. And it's just, it's weird.
Can I backtrack a little bit?
Yeah. I'm going all over the place.
No, not at all. With your story, I want to know more. Like, when did you find out that you were diagnosed, and were there any signs, I guess, for you to like be like, hey, I think I need to go to the doctor. Something's not right.
So colon cancer, which is the kind of cancer that I have, colon cancer is the fastest rising cancer in people under 50.
Wow.
And they don't know why. My cancer is not genetic. It's considered environmental, which means we don't know why you have it. We can, you know, debate about microplastics or BPA or, you know, processed food or any of, I mean, who knows?
Okay.
I don't know why, but it is the fastest rising cancer in young people. And it's also incredibly well studied and incredibly treatable, especially if it's caught early.
Okay.
But for me, it was this very sort of roundabout way to finding it. So in 2016, I was having like this pain in my side. And I went to the doctor and they did a bunch of scans and they were like, oh, you have gallstones. So I had my gallbladder out. Okay, no problem. So they had been like all over this whole area. And, you know, I would imagine that if there had been something else, they would have found it at that point. But I don't really know. Looking back, of course, 2020 hindsight and all that. So we, like, over the next couple of years, I started having like these pains in my gut when I would eat something like bready or fried, you know, like something you're not supposed to, because your gallbladder helps you digest fats, right?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be every time, and yeah, like I don't know, it just seemed very sporadic. But I would get these intense pains in my lower gut, and I was like, I guess I can't eat that stuff anymore. And I talked to a friend who's like a nurse, and he was like, yeah, it sounds like it's probably that. Like, so I had an explanation for that. And then, you know, it's your colon. So we're going to talk a little bit about what the colon does.
Yeah.
So one night I go to the bathroom. I'm not having the pain.
Yes.
And I look and there's blood.
Okay.
And I was like, oh,
That's alarming.
that's alarming.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but like enough that I was like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
weird. And they're like, and so I call, it's late at night. So I call the nurse hotline for my health insurance. And the nurse is like, oh, well, do you have hemorrhoids? She was like, is it dark or is it light, bright? I was like, it's bright red. She was like, okay, do you have hemorrhoids? And I was like, well, I have children, so I'm assuming yes. It's just
Of
one of
course,
the
it comes with the territory.
one of the gifts of motherhood. That and the chin hair. So good.
I'm looking forward to that. I have a little baby,
Yeah. So, babies come with gifts. So she was like, do you have hemorrhoids? And I was like, I assume, I don't know,
Maybe,
but
yeah.
maybe, she was like, well, watch it. And, whatever. Like, she didn't say, you should go to the doctor tomorrow, because it's probably hemorrhoids. But just in case, so that happened probably in like 2017 at some point. Okay. And so then, like, for the next month, probably like 8 to 10 months, I would like sometimes have the pain and sometimes I would have a little bit of blood, never as much as the first time, but it wasn't ever anything all at once.
Okay.
And then there was a night where like the pain just didn't go away. Oh, wow. And I was like, this is not like, I can't, this is not good. This is not good. And my ex-husband traveled a ton. And so he was like heading out of town and he was like, what do you, he was like, I have to go. And I was like, you have to go. So, but the next day was a Saturday and I was like, I have to go to the, to urgent care. And so I go to urgent care and they're like, we don't have the scan thing. We need, you have to go to the ER because we can't do the scans that we need to do here. So I go to the ER and they do a scan. And I told this story at the fundraiser where we met.
Yes.
Where I have this picture in my mind of this like very young resident. She's just like so doe-eyed and just, and she's out in the hall and she's got some attending that's like, all right, Becky, you gotta learn how to tell people bad news. And she's like, with this one now, oh God. And they shove her in the room. I mean, they didn't, but like in my mind. And she's like, she sits down next to me and she's like, you have suspicious thickening in your colon. And she's like trembling and her eyes are welling up with tears. And I'm like,
aren't I supposed to be
I'm like, what are you saying? I don't even really get what's going on yet. She's like, I'm like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Are you saying I have cancer? Like, are you saying? And she just like puts her hand on my knee and she's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, holy shit. Like, what is happening right now? And of course I'm crying. My mom is with me. I'm like, it's a mess. Right. And I'm like, I feel like I need to call her an Uber. Like she needs to go home. Like something.
Pass her the tissues.
I totally. What do I do?
Becky needed a cuddle.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that sets off a chain of events. So then like a month later, I'm able to get into the gastroenterologist. And he does like the whole colonoscopy situation. And I come out of it and he's like, yeah, you have colon cancer. And that, then I had they took a foot of my colon. They took 15 lymph nodes.
Oh my goodness.
They thought they got everything.
Yeah.
And then they did a body scan and discovered it was also in my liver and my lungs.
Oh.
So at that point, it was it was stage 4. Like from the jump, it was stage 4. But weirdly, nobody ever said it's stage 4 to me.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it was like, I was going to ask you and I was like, is it rude? I don't know. But like, what stage of cancer?
It's stage 4. So stage 1 is like, it's in the organ stage. There's like 1B and like, there's A's and B's and things like that, but I don't really know.
Yeah.
So there's stage 1, which is just in the organ. Stage 2 is, I think it's like breached the wall of the organ. Stage 3, it's like a little bit more than that. And stage 4 is when it's metastasized to other organs.
Spread.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, and stage 4 is usually when they're like, you hear stage 4 and you're like, oh, well, fuck.
You can say the D word.
Yeah. You think they're going to start talking timelines and like, you have this much and like, you need to get your affairs in order and all of the stuff. But nobody was doing that.
Okay.
They were like, okay, they did say, so the first thing that happened was they were like, okay, so it's in your liver and your lungs. And the first surgeon that I went to who was like, who did my colon resection was like, he was this very like typical surgeon, like, thinks they're God. And he was like, this French guy. And he was like, I cannot take it out of your liver. It's already in your lungs. It's too aggressive. You know, like, and I was like, are you just sending me off to die? Because no.
Yeah.
You're like, what are you going to do, guy?
Right. So, but he wasn't an oncology surgeon.
Okay.
He's just a surgeon. So then I go over to City of Hope and they're like, oh, no. Like, we do this all the time. We can take it out of your liver and then we'll radiate your lung and then we'll like see where we go. So I started doing that. So then I was like, I started chemo. I was on like 4 different kinds of chemo, lost my hair, got this terrible rash. And I had this like pump that I had to wear around for 2 days afterwards that would like, cause you know, they like put it into you so slowly that, you know, like most chemos, it's like a drip over a couple of hours, but this one has to be so slow that it's over a couple of days.
Wow.
Yeah, that's intense.
So here's my first piece of advice. If you're on a pump, put a command hook next to your bed and next to your toilet so that when you like go to sleep, you have a place to put your little pump bag.
Wow.
And then when you go pee in the middle of the night, you have a place to like hang it so
Okay.
that, you know, so
You know, you never know who's
Convenience.
listening to this
Yeah.
podcast, you know, whether they're going through it right now or God forbid will go through it in the future, who will remember that.
I
So-
mean, hopefully, you know, just
Yeah.
these little like cancer
Or
tips.
someone that they know
Yeah.
as well. That's the thing. Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, it's, and I remember getting to take down the command hooks and I was like, yay.
Oh, yeah.
That was an exciting day because it's like the noise of the pump. You would hear this like every, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes, how, you know. I ended up sticking my pump inside one of my Ugg boots because it was like this big padded boot
Yeah.
and like covering it up so that I could hear the.
You know what? That's another tip.
I mean,
Like,
another tip.
yeah,
Keep it up
exactly.
by your bed or put something out. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did 12 rounds of like hellfire chemo.
12 rounds. Wow.
And then then I had a liver resection and like 5 rounds of radiation on my lungs. And then we thought it was gone. And then the next, that was 2018. And then I guess 2019 in the fall, it came back in my liver and maybe like my lung again. So I had another liver resection in 2019. And then I'm on a pill chemo now that I think I've just been on since then. And then I started on another drug called Avastin, which affects the ability of the tumor to create its own blood vessels.
Wow. Okay.
It's a biologic drug. It's unbelievable to me how they, I don't know.
Science and
Yeah,
just
science. Yeah.
advanced over
It's amazing.
so many years.
So I was on that for a long time. And then like I had another reoccurrence in my liver, another recurrence in my lung. So it's just been kind of like picking off these little like things that keep popping up. So then last like fall of 2022, my doctor was like, okay, it's growing a little bit more than I'm comfortable with now. I think we need to go back to the more intense chemo.
Okay.
So in January of 2023, sorry.
2023, yeah.
I started back on that more intense chemo and back on the stuff that gives me the rash. So I had that like 2 days ago and like it's like starting to come, like it kind of
Goes through phases. I
yeah,
guess.
like so I can tell like it's on my neck and my face,
Yeah.
my chest, my back. I like winter because I can wear lots of turtlenecks.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then I did another 9 rounds of chemo, and then they were like, and then I did this other thing because it was like in my liver. It's so much.
So
guys.
it's back.
like,
so
it's
much.
back in your lungs and
it's
liver.
back in my lungs and liver.
Okay.
Although I had this procedure called a Y90 where they inject thousands of microscopic radioactive glass beads
Oh wow,
into your liver.
fancy.
And they surround the tumor and like glow, and it's like 90% effective. It's this amazing thing.
Wow.
And so ostensibly the thing in my liver is gone now. Like,
Wow.
Amazing.
Okay.
which is great.
That's
Cool.
fantastic news.
But it's also in my lungs and 2 of my lymph nodes.
Okay.
So, because once it's in your lymphatic system, I think it's like, it's really hard to get rid of it.
Okay.
It'll just like, maybe it'll pop up here and there. So I have like 2 lymph nodes, like right here, I think.
I'm just
that-
sitting here listening to you describe everything you've been through so far, and it's so overwhelming. And I'm just blown away and in awe and wondering, how do you maintain a positive mindset throughout all of this, particularly as a mother? And I know that you've also been through some other rough stuff during this period.
I think, gosh, it's really, I don't always, first of all. I'm mad a lot. And I have a lot of grief for the life that I thought that I was going to have.
Of course.
My marriage failed. I think a bunch of marriages fail because of this. I don't know. I can't say for sure that it was that, but it certainly didn't help.
You had a crazy statistic.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
Yes.
While we're at the...
Yeah, it's something like 70% of marriages... I wish I remember the actual... But it's like some crazy high statistic of the marriages that fail. Like 70% are that the male partner leaves, as opposed to like 20. It's like it's way less. If the female partner gets sick, the male partner is like some astronomically higher.
I vaguely
percentage
remember
to
you said it was
leave.
above 80%.
It was like
It's like
it was
some
something
crazy.
It's some
number.
crazy statistic about.
And also when you have kids as well too, and it was quite common. I remember you saying that too, and I was like, I think that I'm gonna be honest, it brought me to tears. I was like, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, absolutely, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck?
I'm sorry.
But
It angers
honestly,
me.
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of people over the years.
Well, okay.
I think that people don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
They don't want to participate in it. I think that I have certainly some responsibility in there as well, because this kind of experience has made me probably much more, what's the word that I want? Chemo brain. Self-involved.
Okay.
Well, you have to be.
Yeah.
Well,
Fighting for your life.
Well, yes. I mean, yes, but like, everybody else has their own stuff too. Like, I don't have the corner on suffering. So, I struggle with that a lot. It's like, I feel burdensome. I feel shame. I feel, like I feel very self-conscious a lot about like, oh, she's like the cancer. That's the mom with cancer. Like, that's the lady with cancer. And then I also have to speak up for myself because I don't look like I have cancer.
Yeah.
Like, I'm walking around and like, I had chemo 2 days ago.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you're
I know.
remarkable.
And like, I'm not faking it, but like, this is sort of how I live. Like, I'll be, like I was asleep 2 hours ago, like I was on my couch and I was like, all right, I gotta like get up and get myself looking like a person and, get over to Beverly Hills.
You look gorgeous.
No, thank you.
But like, it's this massive up and down all the time, but like, I'm not the only person that has stuff to deal with. So, but I don't know. So yes, I have to speak up for myself is what I was saying. Because I don't look sick, which was actually one of the things that I sort of appreciated about being bald. I actually didn't hate being bald at all.
Okay.
Really?
You rocked it.
I was totally fine.
Okay.
The rash, I'm vain as fuck. And the rash was way worse. Like, like the talent, like,
Yeah,
like,
the talent.
I get it.
especially because like I had been a performer for so long.
Yes.
And like, my face was my livelihood. And even though it wasn't anymore, I still identified very much with who I had been. And so when I had like crazy long hair, and just lots of it. And it was just this massive head of hair. And it started to fall out. And I was like, all right, this is, and then I like cut it to like this very tragic shoulder length bob for like a second. And I was like, this is even worse. So then I went to see a friend of mine, Ashley, with a salon, and she was a cancer survivor. And I was like, shave it off. So we just shaved it all off.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I was driving there, I was blasting 9-inch nails and just like, yeah. And I have pictures of me right after, and I'm like, and I actually really, I liked being bald because people gave me a little bit more grace. It's like when you're very, very pregnant and everyone's like, oh, take my seat.
Yeah.
You don't notice, and I'm like, well, for me, it was like
Were you tiny and then?
So I was tiny and I was traveling a lot and Miss Independent. I was carrying all these bags and I'm like inside I'm so tired. I'm dying right now and I can't do this. And
Please
the people don't
help
know.
me.
They're probably like, and I don't want to be with people. I'm like, I'm pregnant. They're like, sure, lady. And I'm like, but then when I started showing people like, come right through. Should we get a chair? Would you like a towel? Like it's a different effect and it is nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be taken care of, and that's and it does help. It does help.
Especially when you really need to be taken care of.
Well, that's the other thing too. So I appreciated the measure of grace that it afforded me.
Yeah.
So going bald wasn't for me. I know a lot of women really suffer from the hair loss. But the other thing is I didn't have a choice because they do have a thing called a cold cap that women with breast cancer can use. To help, and it's been shown to help keep your hair. But the kind of drug that I was on, or one of them, is called oxaliplatin. It has platinum in it, and it gives you this massive, weird cold sensitivity. So, like, you can't drink or touch anything or eat anything cold for like the first week because it feels like shards of glass in your mouth, in your fingertips, like it causes neuropathy in your fingers and feet, and it's like you just.
Terrible.
So I couldn't wear a cold cap. It would have been incredibly painful.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a choice about losing the hair. So, but yeah, I think I do try very hard to look for good because it feels better to me. I'm a person that I forgive easily. I give people the benefit of the doubt probably far more than I should. I hold on to hope probably longer than I should with people. I just want to believe that life is good.
Yes.
Which is probably why I'm, writing these movies. But
Being something positive and wholesome.
And I think we were talking about this earlier, this idea of toxic positivity. And
I was going to bring that up next. Like, you're so positive, but is there such a thing as too positive? What is toxic positivity?
Well, so what I have found happens, very well-meaning people who are like, they love you, they have their best interest at heart. There's a lot of this, well, you have to stay positive. Well, you have to stay positive. You can't, don't say that. Don't say that thing. Don't be angry. It's going to kill you. If you're angry, it's going to kill you. I'm like, don't tell a person with cancer that if they have feelings, it's contributing to their cancer. Like, we already feel guilty enough that we didn't catch something. And to be told that, like, something that we're processing or feeling could be continuing to, like, it's our fault. Like, we're already blaming ourselves for getting sick in the first place. I mean, at least I do. So, like, there's that piece of it. And to insinuate that, like, we could be contributing to our own death, it's just, like, so much pressure.
So much stress as well.
God. And the media puts so much pressure on us. Like, all of the things, it's like, everything's so beautiful, like, beautifully cancerous, Like, everyone's just like, it's glamour cancer. Like, like, you see these images and everyone looks, like, pretty. I mean, I came in here, like, pretty. If I had come in here the way that I really, like, look and, like, I should have probably, like, do the real thing. But, like, something that's showing, like, my giant, like, you can't even see it, but, like, I have this massive port, bump thing that's from the thing where they give me my chemo is, like, on this apparatus on my chest, and, like, all of this rash and, like, the stuff on my neck and the stuff that's not, my face would be, not covered up with makeup and all of that. Like, cancer's not always pretty. And so, like, I don't know, like, I think it has to be this combination of real and not. And for me, what I was like trying to think about the other day, like the opposite of like negativity isn't positivity. I think it's connection. It's kindness. It's showing me and reminding me of the goodness in humanity. Because when I'm feeling negative, and when you see a cancer patient, I would guess, and any person that's struggling with some kind of chronic disease or even any kind of tragedy, when you see them being negative, it's because they have separated from love, connection. They're hurting so bad at that moment. They need kindness. They don't need a lecture. They don't need just, what's the opposite of that statement? Like, say the opposite. Like, you're not going to die, you're going to live, or whatever it is. No, just show connection. I'm so sorry. This sucks. And which would probably bring me to my other great piece of advice.
Yeah, because I feel like we talked about this off air a little bit earlier. For everyone else around you, they love you, they want to help you. And I feel like they're all well-meaning, at least most people are, And they might say to you something like, oh my God, I'm so sorry you're going through this. What can I do?
Of course. That's everyone's natural instinct is to say, what can I do? What can I do? And like, I have had so many people, and frankly, I've been in the situation myself where I'm like, God, I don't know what to say right now. Like, what's happening for you sucks. And what I've learned is that, first of all, just acknowledge, like, this sucks.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. This really sucks. And then to not ask, what can I do? But to say, I'd like to help. Here's what I can do. Here's what I'd like to do. I want to bring you dinner. Is Tuesday or Wednesday better? I'm going to come over and do your laundry. I'm going to take your kids for the afternoon. Just say, like, what you can do. Because when you ask a cancer patient, what can I do? It places the burden on them. It's another decision that they have to make. And then they're struggling. Is it too much? What's too much to ask? Like, can I ask them to go to the grocery store for me? Or is that like an errand that they would hate?
Yeah.
Or can I, like, whatever. Like, I would really love it if they would just come over and hang out with me. But like, I don't want to just ask somebody to come over. Like, maybe they don't want to do whatever it is. Like,
offering services.
Offering takes the onus off the cancer patient who's already decision fatigued as it is.
Absolutely.
And then you feel good because you've done the thing that you haven't extended yourself more than you want to. You're not putting yourself in a position where they're like, they've asked you to do something and you're like, oh, that's a lot. I can't really do that. And everyone it's just easier for everybody, I think. So it's really the offer. And then you can think about what it is that feels good for you. And, I've had strangers send me meals. Like, it's unbelievable the way that people want to help.
Yeah.
That's
It's
fabulous.
beautiful.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
There's some good people out there.
There are some very good people. And even, like 6 years into it, because that's the other thing, like living with chronic cancer, people get fatigued.
Yes.
I mean, everybody, my boyfriend gets fatigued. I'm sure my kids get, everybody get and I get fatigued. I'm like, God, I can't ask people for things all the time.
I understand.
But you don't, like, the need doesn't go away. Like, I'm still in chemo every other week. I'm going to be on, and now I just found out, like, I'm going to be in chemo every other week.
Until you don't know.
Until some sort of miracle happens.
Okay.
Either, like, we've gotten everything really diminished and I can go back on some sort of, like, lighter maintenance. I'll still be on chemo, but not like the every other week thing. Or, I have to go on the hardcore chemo, like, it gets worse. I have to go on more, like, the stuff that'll make me lose my hair again. Or I have to do a clinical trial or whatever. But, like, for the foreseeable future, I'm on chemo every other week. And, like, it knocks me on my ass.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Physically, mentally, emotionally, I'm just
Not there.
I can't even imagine, like, every single treatment you've just described to us and every pill that you've taken over the last 6 years. I mean, we complain about having to take a Tylenol or an antibiotic. I can't even fathom what that's done to your system and how you managed to stay healthy,
Oh,
somewhat healthy outside of your cancer. Like, how? What do you do?
Yeah, I've definitely noticed a big change in my personality. Like I said, my emotional and my mental resources are just not the same as they were. I lose my patience with my kids a lot. I lose my patience with other people a lot. I get very paranoid. I get, because I feel like I'm such a burden. It feels so burdensome to be sick for this long and to genuinely need help
Yes.
this much, like I really like, I have, and the only person you really have to depend on is yourself.
Yes.
Like there are people that will help, but you can't, like, I can't ask my mother for everything. She does a ton, like far more than, like she's my mom, so of course, but, but like,
I would expect, obviously, your kids is so important to you, and you're talking about taking care of yourself, but also as a role, myself being a mom, it's our job in some aspect to take care of them. Mm-hmm. So how do you support them when you're in the situation of trying to support yourself through so many years, and they need the guidance and support when you feel at your weakest?
Right.
How old were they when you were diagnosed?
They were, let's see, it was 2018, so they were 6 and 7, 7 and 8, something like that.
So they're little, like they really need your help.
Yeah, they really needed me, and they didn't really have any experience with cancer. We didn't even use the word cancer with them. Because they didn't really have that much experience with it. So we just sort of talked about it in terms of like, well, mommy has this thing in her body that she's going to have to get taken out, and then she's going to have medicine to get rid of it. My older daughter was experiencing bullying in one of her classes or in her classroom. And that was how she found out, because like one of the kids had overheard their parents talking about it, and they got into a fight with my daughter and were like, your mom has cancer.
Oh my God.
Kids are
And that's
cruel.
how kids are such jerks.
I was bullied too. I'm like, kids are cruel.
I mean, like,
that makes me really upset to hear that.
It was really terrible. And she talks about it to this day.
Yes.
Like bullying is really,
yeah.
So, and I don't even know that she fully understood what it meant, but just that it was very bad and it was not, and so sort of over the years, I think they've come to understand more and more what it means. But, because no one has talked to me in terms of like, you have this much time left. No one has said, like no one's giving me those kinds of conversations, those kinds of words. I'm not using that kind of language with my kids.
Yeah.
They know that I'm in chemo. They see it every week or every other week. They understand, like, when I'm depleted, I might need them to help a little bit more. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't, because they're kids. Yeah. And I just think, my older one is 13 now. My little one turns 12 in a week. And, they're amazing little humans, and they have so much emotional intelligence. And I don't know whether it's because of this or just that's who they are, but they're really beautiful little souls. And of course, we have our fights, and it's not all sunshine and roses, but it was just the three of us for a long time because, as I said, my ex traveled a lot. He was out of the country for months at a time. And so, I had them probably 80 to 90% of the time, and then they would spend, like a week or two, or he would come back or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like, there would be like a month in the summer or something that they would go and spend with him or whatever. And so, we're a tight little unit.
Yeah.
which I love, and also
Sounds like
breaks
you're a
my
good
heart.
team.
I mean, we are. It breaks my heart for them because they miss their dad for so long, and it was tough for them to be apart.
I can't even, I know the statistic is really high, but I can't wrap my head around how that even happened to you. How somebody could possibly, I don't know how the breakup happened, but, how far into your diagnosis did you split up with your husband?
Well, it was gradual because what was happening was he was, we had a production company, and he was up in Vancouver working on films, and I was doing my best at home. We were making the decisions that we thought were, helping, because he was like, well, I can make money if I'm up here. It got to a point where I was like, well, hang on, do you have to be like, they have filmmaking in LA.
Yeah.
They do that. They do that here.
Yeah. This is Hollywood, right?
Do we have to but at that point it was kind of further gone, and I don't know, I can't speak for what was going on in his head.
Yeah.
I think that I think he thought that he was taking care of us because he was bringing in money, but we needed him here
You needed the connection.
more, and we lost it.
Yeah.
It just became irreparable, and then he didn't want to be married anymore. So yeah.
For me, I'm talking. I can't relate, but obviously, I've gone through a divorce, and I say to my friends, it's the most traumatic. It's sad. It's so painful.
It's so painful.
And we get married to stay married. So for you to, dealing with your diagnosis, but then to have to be have to deal with a divorce now.
And I mean, let's be very clear.
Yeah.
Divorce is not a one-way street.
No.
I have culpability in this,
Yeah.
come on. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, I'm a victim. But it definitely,
It goes both ways.
it goes both ways for sure. I wasn't anticipating getting divorced, even though we were having our own, other personal stuff, other issues that weren't cancer related. I didn't anticipate that we would be splitting up, because we had sort of found, I don't know, something that was kind of working for us, and then it just blew up, and
he didn't stay in regular contact, try to.
No, he's totally in contact with the kids.
Okay, oh, that's
no,
good.
No.
Okay,
I don't want to make it sound like he's not. No, he's totally, and he's now moved back.
Okay.
He moved back in October.
Okay.
So now he's back. But yeah, no, with the kids, he's always been present.
Amazing.
But, just not always physically present,
Right.
but in contact with them. I don't want to make it sound like he's not being a good dad, because he's being a good dad.
Yeah.
It just.
For the mental health, how did you deal with it? There's just so many segments to it, but how did you deal with divorce?
I mean, I'm in the middle of it.
You're still in it.
We're in the middle, and it's it's not cute.
It's not cute.
It's not cute, and I'm I don't really understand some of the decisions that have been made, some of the things that have been said, some of the I'm Christmas morning, the kids are like, can you come over and spend Christmas morning with us? And we're not getting along, but I was like, come over, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna. And I was like, God, come on.
Do it
That
for the
sucks.
kids.
Can we not just
Put
be
on a brave
grown-ups for a
face.
morning?
Yeah.
I just, and again, like,
You can't
he's
speak
not
for him.
I
Yeah.
can't speak for him, and I don't know what's happening in his head. So I don't know if it's too painful for him, if it's uncomfortable for him, if it makes him confront things that just feel like too much. I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, like I said earlier, I am inclined to forgive. So even though we've had lots of painful conversations, I would still put that aside for 4 hours on Christmas morning. But like, maybe it's too much for him. Clearly it's too much for him. I don't know. I can't say. But it's disheartening, and it's heartbreaking. And I've lost a lot of people over the years. Like I said, like, people, it affects everything, because it affects how you need people to show up for you, how I wonder sometimes if I feel like too entitled, like if I'm expecting people to show up for me in like a way that like they're not able to, and then I'm like, well, but I have like
I'm not.
stage 4 cancer. Can you not give me a break a little bit here?
Yeah.
They should.
I don't. I don't.
Should they?
They
I don't
bloody
think
well
you're too
should.
entitled.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I struggle with this a lot, because it's like, I don't know.
I don't think you're too entitled. I think it should come with the territory of knowing if anyone's not like feeling unwell. It's like, I'm here to offer assistance in any way. And you're not saying you like have a disability, but there is like some way that you can't do things, You
totally.
can't show up the best way that you want to show up. So you need assistance.
Totally.
I think we should all live a life in service of other people, as Flynn Skidmore says. We should.
I mean,
and the flip side is, it's what a great opportunity to step up for someone when they're going through something.
well, yeah. And I mean, I think that's the other thing about allowing people to do things for you when you're sick. The other night I ended up like totally last minute. I ended up having this like dinner party with 7 amazing women friends, completely spur of the moment. Like, like I was like, hey, are you available tomorrow? And just like 7 women,
Spread like wildfire.
like it did. And it was just like, we're all sitting around and I'm talking about this. And one of them was a friend that I had met, who I met at a cancer facility, who's this unbelievable, her name's Allison Mann. She's great. She founded this beautiful organization called the Brick Foundation. That like helps like kids that are in sort of marginalized groups find opportunities to like be mentored in the entertainment industry. Like, it's total non sequitur, but like,
How fabulous.
she's amazing. She's just amazing. She's my manager. But like, she's such a good friend. She's just this unbelievable force, and I admire her so much. And like everybody that I ended up having over that night was like my friend Carrie, who's this, she teaches Kundalini, and she's like this beautiful like source of like inspiration. My friend Anna, who's like this amazing, like she's like everything is beautiful. Like she's like this party planner, but that like simplifies her down to something that like is so much more than what she is. She creates like amazing, lovely experiences for her friends, and she loves to bring people together. My friend Shara, who's my neighbor, I feel like I should name them all because they're all like,
They're all awesome.
Yeah, they're all awesome. My friend Robin, who is like just this beautiful, like we've been friends for like 20 something years, and she's like come back into my life recently. So it was just like this amazing group of women. And I'm talking about how I go down in my chemo weeks, and then I feel like, especially it's like days 4 and 5 are like the hardest.
Okay.
So like Friday, Saturday for me is usually like when I'm in like the pit of despair. And they were like, I was like, I'm just gonna like literally, if it's really bad, I'm gonna just text. They were like, let us know. And I was like, it might be like literally I can text like a red flag to the group. And then you'll know that I'm in it.
You're not
because
in a good place.
when I'm in it, it's low, and I'm like, if ever I post like I'm afraid I'm gonna die, it's those days, because it gets very dark, because after all this time, it's just like, my God, how? And then I come out of it, and I go back into, and like by the time I'm having chemo again, I walk in kind of feeling like me again.
Wow.
And then I do it again and again and again.
Oh.
and
You're
again.
extremely brave, and your strength is like I don't even know if I have the strength. Like I have that strength, but to go through those highs and lows, like you're very, very brave. And
I mean, thank you, but I promise you that you do.
yeah,
I promise you that you do. Because I mean, like we do. We just like, if somebody tells you like this kind of thing, you don't just lay down. You're not going to lay down. Like you're like, look at all the things you're doing with your life. I can look at you and tell you, you're not going to lay down. Like God forbid, but like you do the same thing. That I'm
and
doing.
with that, so how did you start working with In Living Beauty? How did they assist? And you absolutely love them. You talk about them.
I do. So the Foundation for Living Beauty is this really wonderful organization that provides women in sort of all different phases of their cancer. I call it cancer era. Because I think the word journey is twee, and I just like I don't like it. I'm like my cancer journey, my like.
I feel like journey, like it has to follow through, and it's like era's just like
It's like,
it's gonna
it's my
stop
era.
it. Yeah,
there's like
stop
an
and
end to it
start.
at some
I
point.
like that.
I think the word era is better
I'm
too.
gonna go
Let's
with
go with
era.
that.
I think it's very on trend.
Yeah.
So yeah. So if anywhere in their cancer era,
Yeah.
so just diagnosed, they're completely done, in the middle of treatment, whatever. But they find different practitioners of various different kinds of healing modalities and offer access to these programs for all of these different women. And there are, retreats, there are one-day, yoga sessions, or, like art therapy. I've had craniosacral therapy. I've had custom aromatherapy, like
Yummy.
oh, so nice.
Yeah.
Like sound baths and Reiki and just like an unbelievable amount of access to services. And they provide it free. It's all free.
Wow.
They're amazing.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And this beautiful team of like 5 women
yeah.
that do everything. And
So sweet. But
they're the best.
So kind and loving.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
and like they're so genuine. Like Nancy Davidson, the director, texted me yesterday, and I have to get back to her, but she was like just checking on me, like, "Hey, how are you?"
Oh,
Yeah.
she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So is
Like-
Amy Sachu.
Oh,
the
Amy
found-
Sachi,
I
the
mean,
founder, just like she's just like real. I
Yeah.
mean, she's glamorous and gorgeous and
So-
is like
yeah.
living the life. Like that
Yeah.
woman, like from all like outside, you would
Good
like,
for her.
yeah.
We love
Yeah.
her.
No,
like, just
she looks like she's got it together. That girl.
I think she really does. Just like generous and lovely and just real.
Yeah. Beautiful
And
humans.
so it's a really beautiful organization, and I don't even remember how I found them. Some nurse or somebody somewhere was like, "Hey, you should look into this thing," and now I shout it from the rooftops because I just think that their mission and what they offer women is so important because, and I think going back to how you keep your positivity, I think it is connecting with all of these other things. Like you can't just, let me rephrase that. I can't. For me, it was very important to not only do Western medicine.
Okay. Yeah.
It was really important to me to focus on everything. And I do find when even if I'm just touching it a little bit, like a meditation, if I go to the crystal store and buy like a rock that like I think is like pretty or whatever, like whatever it is that, going outside and putting your feet in the grass,
Yeah.
I just think that there's so much more to this world that we know and understand that I can't be so, what's the word I want? Not cocky or confident, but you know what I'm saying. Like, to just think that I would know everything. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? yeah, this is chemo brain, and I'm a writer, so when I don't have my words, it's very
You're doing
frustrating.
so well.
Yeah.
Like
Through these experiences, is it a form of escape for you when you is like,
oh yeah,
does that feed your soul by doing, you know, like for me, I guess it's like going to the spa, but it is a form of escape. So it must feel
absolutely
terribly nice.
It is. And I mean, yeah, I think that allowing yourself to be cared for, allowing yourself to experience these things that we can't necessarily explain, that affect our ability to connect and heal and feel part of something bigger. I guess maybe that's what it is. Like maybe that's what it is. Because I was saying, like, cancer feels so lonely that maybe in that moment you're able to like feel a bit more connected again.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the Foundation for Living Beauty have created a beautiful community as well.
They have for sure. I mean, like, it's a lot of really lovely women that all kind of understand this completely weird thing that's happened to all of us. And it's interesting, even within the world of cancer, because I'm like the weirdo with colon cancer, and most of these people have like, it's breast cancer, like most often, right?
Yeah.
At least it feels that way. And so they walk around and they're talking about like, you know, drains and like, you know, I don't even know. Like there's a whole language.
There's a niche and category for each
like
cancer.
in breast cancer, and I'm like, I don't really know anything about that. But I do have the cancer experience. So I'm often like, people are like, oh, my friend just got diagnosed. Can you talk to her? And I'm like, of course, all the time. So I think that, that's what the Foundation for Living Beauty is. It's like this community of women that, you know, even though like we don't all have the same kind of cancer, we all know what that is and can connect with each other, you know, just like,
and have support.
yeah, like, because it's like, you know, you have like my back is hurting, and I'm like,
can I get a rub down?
Yeah.
like, well, and I'm like, well, is that like a tumor, or is that just like because I'm 49? Like, what is that? You know, my like, I don't. And so they get it. It's like the, you know, they understand like the constant body scans and the like, and the nagging fear that just sort of like is in the back of your brain. I think that's part of chemo brain too, is that like suddenly you're not ever not using a piece of your brain, because there's a part of your brain all the time that's like in this fight or flight place, right? That's like always like, what's happening in my body? What is that? What is that? What is that? What, like,
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Do I need to be worried?
do I need to be worried?
God,
Oh
the
God, I'm really
stress.
tired. I'm really like, oh, like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm having, you know, chemo side effects. Like, what is that? Like, you know, I get this really weird, I was trying to describe it the other day. Like when I lay down at night, I get this weird, like my whole body feels like rigid, but I'm not. But like there's this weird sort of feeling, like this, I think like from the metal maybe or something.
Okay.
It's totally weird. That's like, but it's like I'm laying there and it's like I feel like it's like my veins are made of metal. Like it feels hard.
Wow.
It's so weird.
That is a weird feeling.
It's completely bizarre. And I don't know any other way to describe it than that it feels rigid. Also, I feel slimy all the time. Like
So
this like
interesting.
level of like, there's like a, like under my skin, like I just feel like sludgy, slimy. Like, so it's simultaneously rigid and also sludgy. I don't know. It's very weird. Chemo's weird.
Chemo is weird.
It's very weird.
Can't even imagine.
Oh
Yeah.
And I hope you never. I hope you. It's that for you. You know, I tell everybody, I'm like, I took it. Like I got it. Like I got it for everybody. Like you don't have to do it just because I'm doing it. So, it's like
It's the unknown. I think anything in this life, the unknown is so scary because we don't have control over it. And all of us want control, and we always want the answers, and we always want the positive, the great answers. So to be living that every day. Yeah, like it's terribly hard. I can't speak for you or anything, but it's just
Must be
I would be
incredibly stressful.
I would be
It
it's just the
is.
stress.
It is. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress. It affects everything.
And they tell you not to stress, and
then
then
they
you're
tell
like,
you not to
"Oh, no, I'm
stress,
gonna
and you're
stress
like,
anymore."
"Oh, God."
Yeah.
Well, and I had a therapist that called it waiting in the hallway. You're waiting in the hallway all the time. And it's like almost like when they say, oh, now it's back and like, here's what we need to do. It was almost like that was easier than like the time between when I was like in treatment, but like I didn't really know what was happening.
I see.
Because it's like you're waiting in the hallway. You're just like, what's it going to be? And then the door opens and you're like, oh, okay, now I can get to work and do the thing. But now I'm sort of in the work all the time.
Yeah.
And
So now that it's back, when you're going through chemotherapy, you do the check-ins all the time, checkups. Do they tell you each time when you go in, like where you're at, or like is it's going away? Okay, I was like, okay, it's not working, or it's like they have a quota and meet, like, okay, in 3 months we're gonna come back and just see where we're at.
so I get scanned every 3 months.
Okay.
And they kind of look at it from that perspective. So I did like 9 rounds, and they would scan me like every 3 months through that, like last year, for example. And then there was like one, and it was like stable. Everything was stable. And so they were good. But there was this one thing in my liver that was, I think they said that it was like a breakthrough or a breakout or something, whatever. It wasn't responding to treatment. So they were like, let's do this Y90 thing.
The light.
The like radioactive glass bead thing. But I had to go off chemo while I was on that, while I did that. And while I was off the chemo, the stuff in my lungs and my lymph nodes started to grow again. So that was why I had to go back on the chemo, the systemic therapy.
Constant battle.
It's like a song and dance.
It is.
Yeah.
So they scan me every 3 months.
Okay.
And that's when, and they kind of look at, there are other, tumor marker levels that they can see, like if there's growth, or potential growth. I'm pretty sure this is correct, but there's a protein called CEA that we produce when we're pregnant that, as I understand it, and some scientist is going to be like, that's not right. So I don't know, fact check it. But, and I don't know if it's all cancers or colon cancer also produces CEA. And the CEA tells our body not to attack the baby.
Okay.
But it also tells our body not to attack the cancer because it's like faking it out. It's like,
Wow.
Oh, wow.
so when like my CEA levels start to go up, they're like, oh, that could be an indication that the cancer is growing. So they watch stuff like that too.
Okay.
And then, depending on the size of tumors, how my energy level is affected, if it's, near something dangerous or whatever. I mean, like I'm speculating for lots of other people. How is it affecting you? Because my doctor's like, you could have, I have a guy that's got like giant tumors and he's running marathons, and I have people that have teeny tumors and they're like in bed.
Everyone's just very different.
Everyone's
how
very
they deal with
different.
it.
Everybody's cancer is different. And so I think that's the other thing that's so frustrating, for the medical community and for cancer patients, is because it's like we want there to be like this. It feels like at this point we should have figured it out.
Yeah.
Like there should be a book that we pick up in the library. Like
Yeah,
this is
and
the
it's
rule
like,
book.
these
This
are
is what
the-
you need to do, and to get
Right. And especially
good place.
this long into it, I'm like, are we done? How are we done?
I bet you do.
It's already be done. But I think if I was done, well, you're never done, apparently, because it's like everyone I talk to, that even when they're not,
you think they're done.
like they're, there's always the worry that's in the back of your head.
Could
that
always
it's gonna
come back. Yeah.
But after this long, I feel like it would almost be like, I just feel like it would just be like, I wouldn't know who I was anymore. Like if it was suddenly just gone, I would be like, who am
I?
Who
What
am
do
I?
do? Yeah.
I can understand that.
now that I don't have that anymore? Like, because now it's, for a long time I resisted it being like who I am. And then I realized after I did some more public speaking about it, I was like, oh, I have to talk about this. Like I have something that I need to share, which is how, my whopping, 100 followers on my Cancer Like a Mother account on Instagram is.
You deserve a lot more. So it's at Cancer Like a Mother.
Yeah.
Because you're just so amazing, and I'm sure absolutely every person watching this podcast is going to agree with that.
I just want to create a place where we can all kind of get together and like, this sucks, and like I want to be like, this is what's happening for me right now. Today I'm really scared. Today I'm having a good day. Today I'm having a scan. Whatever it is, like I'm, sharing here and there. I'm not like super, sometimes I'm too sick to do it, but like
I feel like your voice helps others that may be dealing with cancer like not feel alone. You're saying it's a very lonely process. So I'm sure if there is anybody that's like, fuck, I have cancer.
Right.
What do I do? Like you can all Google so much about it, but a voice.
Google nothing. Like,
You'll drive yourself insane, right?
Completely.
Yeah. It's good. It's important to have that support and hear it from somebody else that is dealing with it, especially that, and we're human, like marriage, husbands, wives, whatever, kids, like life happens. So it's, you're a role model in some way. Like you're helping so many.
I hope so.
And you're helping even the ones that the family, the supporting, the ones on the side that want to help but then feel helpless. And then they're like, well, I don't know what to do, and I want to be respectful at the same time.
And don't send mugs.
Don't send mugs. You did say that.
Or the funny cards.
Yeah.
Funny cards are fine.
Okay,
Funny cards are great.
No damn mugs.
Because like we gotta store mugs. Like how many mugs
What
am I
are
gonna
some of
get?
the mugs? Like what?
Oh well, I had colon cancer, so I got a lot of poop mugs.
Oh God! Read the room.
Listen, like sometimes there's dark humor, but then there's
there's like the poop emoji, right? Like a lot of poop emoji.
Yeah.
That's
but,
too
there's
far.
like totally. Like there's like boob mugs and like I was never like a fuck cancer person. Like there are a lot of people that are like they're like, I'm a warrior, I'm going into battle, and that never really rang true for me either, because that felt angry to me.
Yeah.
And again, like sort of separated from love. So I like didn't want to lean into anger because I was already kind of angry enough. You
didn't want the fuck cancer mugs.
I didn't want the fuck cancer mugs. I didn't want I didn't want that. Because it didn't feel good for me. But there are people that are like complete, like, and that works for them. Like they want, but for me, like I don't need any mugs. I don't need any more tea. A lot of tea. Oh my God. Like I
lot
can't.
of tea, huh?
So much tea.
Why is that?
You know what? I'm glad you said that, because I would have been one of those people that buys the tea. I
It's
just
so
love tea.
nice, but it's so nice.
It's a British thing for us. It's a very
It is like have a lovely cup of tea.
Yeah.
Like, and I used to love tea, but I've had so much because I can't drink cold stuff for like a week. So I'm like, do you know how not thirst quenching like tepid water is?
Yeah.
God,
Yes.
it's just like
Agree with
ugh.
that.
So I just I'm like, no mugs, no tea. Don't make me store anything. But like,
Do you have
send
to
me,
stick to a
like-
diet for like when you're going through this process? Is there like a strict like regimen for
there
your
are
food?
so many people that will tell you absolutely. My doctor is like, if I could tell you to eat or not eat certain foods and your cancer would go away, I would do it. I think that the best advice that I can give is to not do anything out of fear.
Okay.
I think there are certainly choices that you can make that are obviously more healthy, where you're not eating like the crazy processed food all the time.
Yeah.
And you're not, I don't know, indulging.
I don't think it
a
doesn't
lot.
do any good for any.
No,
all
it
of
doesn't do
us.
any good for anybody. But like, I recently just decided to start eating mostly plant-based again, because it felt empowering, and like I was taking control of a piece that I had control of, not because. And I'm still going to allow myself to have whatever I want to have when I not whatever, but like I just want to be more mindful about my eating.
Yes.
But there are other people that would be like, oh, no, you got to go like strict vegan, no sugar, no whatever. And there are a lot of people that have that say that they've cured themselves of cancer because they've changed their diet or done certain supplements or, whatever. I can't, no doctor has ever said to me like that you should, stop eating or start eating a particular thing. So, I mean, other than, like I said, the obvious, but even that, I still go and have a McDonald's every once in a while.
Sometimes you gotta for your mental health.
I just gotta. And even, I love my sushi. No, I just, I'm not giving up everything. I mean, my boyfriend makes a beautiful steak. We're really cutting back. He just found out his cholesterol is over 300. He's this
Less steak for your man.
Less steak for him. But
I'm so glad you mentioned him because I really wanted to go back to talk about him.
Yeah.
So you have a boyfriend.
I do have a boyfriend.
Awesome.
Yes.
Must be a great guy and
Yes.
also lucky him.
Lucky him.
Very lucky him.
Yes.
But what I wanted to ask you is you obviously got together. I don't know whether you met him beforehand, but you obviously got together with your boyfriend after you got sick because you were with your husband when you first got sick. Did you meet him after you got sick?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you tell someone, hey, I've got cancer. I don't know what's going to happen. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, I was I'm me. So I was I don't think I told him right away, but pretty soon, we met on, I'm swiping because it was one of the swipings. I think it was Tinder.
Yeah.
The dating app.
Yeah, I think it was Tinder. And we're texting each other, and he got COVID right after we got in contact. So we had to wait a month to see each other.
Oh, wow.
So I think it was somewhere in there that I was like, hey, listen, so I have stage 4 cancer. I'm on chemo. At that point, I was I go in for an infusion every 3 weeks, but it doesn't really, the stuff that I was on then, isn't even close to what I'm doing now. And my life was relatively normal-ish for a person that had cancer for several years at that point. And I live my life, And so, I think that.
What was his response?
I think that I was so chill about it that he was pretty chill about it.
I love that.
And then when it came back more in full force, he's been. It affects us a lot. It's not easy. It's not easy. He's been great about coming to appointments when he can and being involved when he can. We went to see a doctor one time, and the doctor was like, I can't do this treatment. You're not a candidate for this. And he was like, hold on. We feel like you're telling us go away and die. So we need better answers than this. And he was definitely my advocate for me that day. And that was really important. But it causes, it affects my, like I said, it affects my self-worth and my self-esteem. It definitely makes me feel burdensome and needy. I was saying this earlier, do I expect too much from people because I want them to step up for me in a certain way. And I've known him for 2.5 years. What can I, am I asking too much of him to cut me some slack and do things my way?
No.
I don't know, because he didn't I don't know. I don't know. I struggle with it a lot because I'm he was clear about what he wanted from a relationship when we got together.
Okay.
And that's changed for me because this changed, this became bigger, and now I'm on chemo every other week, and it affects everything for me. And so
I feel it has to be, I don't know, I think about it, if my partner, God forbid, I don't even say it, but if I was in that situation, it's I gotta like take myself out of it as being a partner and be like, it's expected that they need me.
Yeah, I think that.
And it's like, you know, we always have to think of ourselves, but still at the same time, it's like I have to think, wait a second, and like, let me get back to reality. They need me. It's expected.
Yeah.
And it's a choice.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Like,
It's
I love that he's...
but also like how much can I
someone take-
expect?
yeah.
How, I mean, like, he didn't ask for this really. I mean, like, he knew what he was getting into a little, but not all of it. I don't know what I'm getting into. Like, you know, like, I don't know what it's going to be in 6 months. I know what it is right now, but like,
I know, for me, it's hard. I'm like, I can't, like...
I know.
I can't even imagine. The reason I wanted to ask about him, by the way, is I can't even imagine. Well, number one, I wanted to know the answer to the question, so thank you for answering that. You know, how do you navigate this with a new partner? Mm-hmm. But I can imagine if I got cancer as a single person, and I did get diagnosed with a brain tumor as a single person. But I didn't have cancer. I had just had an aggressive brain tumor.
Just.
No,
That's all.
not just.
Casually brain, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm
I
okay.
do. Yeah.
I could also relate to when you were talking about, you know, you're never out of it. Because I've been told by a doctor it's likely mine will come back. But, you know, I've also had surgery. I know the process, you know. But, yeah, you never escape it.
Yeah.
But telling someone for the first time, and then I can imagine there would be people listening that would probably be terrified of dating when they've got cancer.
Oh, I'm terrified that we'll break up and I'll have to do it again because I don't think at this point.
Anything to deal with it. How do I?
Like, it's a completely different situation for me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the only reason I'm terrified we break up. Let me be very clear. But like, I think about that because it puts a lot of stress on a relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, he loves me deeply. I love him deeply. I don't want to love anybody else, like, in that way. Like,
it's a true test of a relationship. Like, for the strength, I guess, is like, you want to be in a relationship.
There's no greater
this is a
test.
greater test.
Yeah, like, I'm all the time. I'm like, this is the real stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is real. Like, it's not always pretty with me. I used to be much lighter than I am, a lot more, you know, like, and I still have lightness and joy, but like, you know, I mean, like, I was crying in his arms this morning, you know, like, there's a lot of sadness and grief and heaviness and misery that comes along with this. And not everybody wants that. Not everybody, and that's okay. Like,
Well, that's what I was going to say. It must be very difficult for somebody on the other end to, you know, getting to know someone thinking, oh, I really like this person, and then they tell you that they've got cancer. Mm-hmm. And all sorts of thoughts must go through your mind. Like, wow, do I want to jump into this? Because what if I lose them?
sure.
You know, like that would occur to me.
Of course. I think it occurred to him. Certainly, I think it occurred to his family. Like, what are you doing? Do you want to be involved with this person that, like, you know, you're just getting out of a marriage? Like, do you want to take something like this on? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, it's like, you know, it was a lot, right?
But you're such an expander for people who might be in the position you're in right now, who are single, going through cancer, not wanting to stop living their lives.
Well, that's the thing.
And you had the courage to continue dating, and you met this wonderurwonderful person.
I met this wonderful person who.
So that's such a great story. I mean,
it's a positive story.
Yeah,
I think
it
the
is.
idea is like, for me, if I'm like, fuck, I have cancer in stage 4. That's it. No love life. That's it. Yeah. And you're like hearing like, hey, on the other side of it, I got my ass on Tinder and I, you know, put myself out there and I met a cool, great guy that I love.
I mean, I think that I love love.
Don't we
love
all?
Yep.
being in love. I love being a partner.
Yeah.
I love being partnered. I think that intimacy is one of the great joys and blessings of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't just mean physical intimacy, although I also think that that is an exceptional gift that we have as humans.
Yeah.
But emotional intimacy and that feeling of joining your life in the way that you choose to join with another person, whatever that looks like, because, you know, everybody's relationship is unique to themselves. And, you know, whether it's marriage or partnership or whatever it is, I love it. I think it's such a beautiful thing. And I didn't want to entertain the idea that I wouldn't get to continue to have that.
I'm so happy you didn't. Because he sounds amazing, and you
Sounds like a
really
great guy.
deserve him.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a great time. Well, speaking of dinner parties, we throw great dinner parties.
And now I'm glad that your husband screwed up because it sounds like you up-leveled.
Yeah. What do you make at your dinner parties?
Oh my gosh, we go a little. We do it like old school. We do a cocktail hour. We do like a themed cocktail, and then we do like a lovely an appetizer course. Like that we'll do like a first thing where we sit around, and I did like these beautiful. I found these really beautiful Spanish anchovies that were just like really light, and I did those on like a baguette with a little bit of really good butter and some fresh parsley and like a little squeeze of lemon. I did this beautiful corn, like a cold corn soup for one. And then the last one, he did like this beautiful beef bourguignon for.
Wow.
So we do like full on, we do like a cocktail hour and then appetizers, and then we make everything.
Wow.
And then we do like a salad or a first like little course, and then we do the mains, and then
Dessert.
a dessert, and
What a talented couple.
oh my God, we have a blast. It is so much fun. And I mean, we talk tablescapes. We talk
I love
it's
that.
so much fun.
I love it.
And it's something, we both love to eat. We're also doing this like sandwich crawl across
Okay.
Los
Like
Angeles, trying to
finding
find the best sandwich.
I like
But now
those.
that we're both not eating meat anymore, now we're like, we got to find the best vegan sandwich. And I feel like
Oh.
you're in
The
an
place for it.
oxymoron. I don't know. So
Friends of mine opened a business down in Long Beach called the Plant Butchers. I don't know if
Oh.
you've checked it out yet.
I haven't, but I guess we
Looks
got to
like you're
go.
going.
I guess we're going to Long
Yeah.
Beach. So yeah, no, we have a good time. We have a lot of sadness because we struggle with what I'm going through, and it affects us a lot. But we've sort of, I think we're trying to find a kind of a recommitment to the joy.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had a lot of scariness in the last kind of year, and things got very heavy. So now that we're kind of looking towards this year of like, even though we know it's going to be continued constant chemotherapy, at least we sort of know the roadmap a little bit more.
Okay.
And so we can plan a little bit better for how it affects my moods and how it affects my physical and mental and emotional capabilities. And I can be more mindful of it and more responsible for what I bring.
Mm-hmm.
And he can kind of have a better idea of what I need and what he can give, what he's able to
Yeah.
do. And we just have to communicate a lot.
It's that key word.
Yep.
There's the C word, communication, comes
Yeah.
up with all of our episodes.
Yes, it really does.
Yeah. How important. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just
Every
the
single one.
contributing factor of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah? How so? Talk.
Oh, just
Communication with your food as well.
Yeah.
Like it's just, relationships. It's just the.
I think it's stunted for a lot of people. So that's why it comes up as a reoccurring theme. It's something you struggle with in relationships. It's something that it affects everything. So
and it's just so
your
important.
sex life.
Yeah. The experts come in, they're like communication, having the voice and talking about your feelings.
Yeah.
And some individuals don't even know how to even begin to talk about their feelings.
Sure.
But the first step is just
Talk. Open your
Yeah.
mouth.
open your mouth.
We
and
talk-
having
Sounds
a-
come out.
We talk a lot. we were like, we got to talk a little less about like all of that and get back to talking about the fun stuff. And
Yeah.
we were having therapy today, and our therapist was like, "What can you do this week that's like fun?"
And let's talky.
And let's talky.
Yeah.
Because we were like, we gotta
Reel it
get
back in.
Yeah.
So
It's true. Yeah.
It must be very difficult to balance that.
it is, and I just like I don't want him to feel like he's gotten lost in all of this. So again, it's like I'm a big force, and I give out a lot, and I'm like I need a lot, and I want to honor what he needs, as difficult as that can be for me at times, because I get so
I think
scared.
what's beautiful, and I haven't met him, but it seems, what's beautiful about him is his responsibility is he made a choice to stay and deal with this, and that's what he wants to do. So you can probably just maybe appreciate that. I'm sure and you do, but it's just beautiful to see that it's like, hey, I'm responsible for this. I love her, obviously, in every aspect, and he's there, and he just wants to enjoy, time with you and get to know you. We're always changing in different ways. So I think that's just, it's really beautiful and nice to see.
It's been it's been a nice sort of restoration in my faith a little bit.
Yeah.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
True love.
Oh,
Oh, I'm so happy for you, Ali. And you said before
Ali.
you're a force. You sure are.
you're a force.
You really are.
with a capital F.
Yep. And we just adore you. You are
I'm so happy to be here.
so
we're
special.
thank you for being here, though. Seriously,
Ali Spuck, you really are a force.
Thank
We just adore you. And thank you so much for joining us today. Please come back anytime.
I would love it. We'll talk about all
I want
kinds
some
of
updates.
things.
Yeah.
Yep.
I want to go to
We
a
can talk
dinner
about
party.
sex and cancer.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can talk about the dinner parties. We can, all
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
I would love that. Well,
You're
thank
amazing.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.